The One Piece card game in English just released an emergency ban list effective next week, 7/28. So this weekend is your last chance to run these decks at maximum power. Today we're going to talk about the cards limited. There were no bans. How OP03 in Asia didn't make any changes. How I think this impacts the game going forward, and if these changes were correct. So the first card limited is Edward Newgate, the 9-drop. This card I sadly agree with, but it makes the 3 captain decks way weaker. The cool thing is they do list out their reasoning for banning on the site. In here they cite Zoro, but Zoro never needed this card. Newgate was the real reason Whitebeard was overpowered, and if your opponent saw back-to-back at 2 life, you would suffer a lot to even try and win. Let's take a look at their reasoning. When this card is combined with OP02 001 Edward Newgate, the leader, or OP01 001 Roanoa Zoro, the durability of up to one of your leaders gains plus 2,000 power into the start of your next turn, and then you cannot add life cards to your hand using your own effects during this turn, afforded players substantial advantage against their opponent. Furthermore, using this card with cards such as OP01 029 Radical Beam and ST01 014 Guard Point enhanced its durability even further. In addition, the introduction of OP03 EZO made it possible to replicate this situation with a high degree of probability. Due to the above, this card has a high usage and win rates in tournaments, and we have determined that it impedes the offensive and defensive tactics that are essential to the enjoyment of the One Piece card game. As a result, we have designated this card as a restricted card, up to 1 copy per deck. This restriction is only enacted in regions using the English language version. The second card is Blocker Marco. So this honestly is the only hit that hurt Ace, but it really kills the yellow matchup. I don't agree with this at all. I feel like this should have been done with the one that swings 7, the 6-drop that pops. In Zoro, it swings 7 nonstop, especially since this list just makes Zoro better. I feel like they just banned this because on Premium Bandai, you can buy the 1-year anniversary set. Very cool, by the way. Kind of expensive, $100, but it comes with an alt art OP03 Marco, so it really felt like they were hitting this as opposed to the real aggro creator, because they're pushing product. Let's take a look. When this card was combined with Edward Newgate leader or Roanoa Zoro leader, its on KO effect served a key function in boosting the deck's durability, and combining it with cards such as Radical Beam and Guard Point resulted in high durability. In addition, the introduction of EZO made it possible to replicate this situation with a high degree of probability. Due to the above, this card has a high usage and win rate in tournaments, and we have determined that impedes the offensive and defensive tactics that are central to the enjoyment of the One Piece card game. As a result, we have decided to designate this card as restricted up to 1. And so they go on to cite Guard Point, but they don't hit Guard Point. It makes no sense, truthfully. It is a blocker. It is good, but it's only really good in Whitebeard and Ace. There are Zoro lists that have topped without playing the Whitebeard engine at all. So, and then the final card listed, they've talked about it. They hit Radical Beam. Honestly, this is fine. It just simply gets replaced with Guard Point while also limiting Whitebeard from playing 8 events. So it damages Whitebeard, so they can't play, 4 Rad Beam, 4 Guard Point. In any other deck, you were playing Rad Beam, you're just going to swap it out for Guard Point. I know some Zoro lists were paying 4 Rad Beam, 2 Guard Point, so it slightly impedes them, and they're going to play 4 Rad Beam, 1 Guard Point because of the Swinger Marco. So overall, this is a fair hit. They listed when combined with Newgate or Zoro, and built a deck with Guard Point. This card greatly improved the deck's overall durability despite having a cost of 1. In addition, achieving the condition if you have 2 or less life became easier when used with the above cards. Due to the above, this card has a high usage and win rate, and we've determined that it impedes the offensive and defensive tactics that are central to the enjoyment of the one-piece card game. As a result, we have restricted it up to 1 copy. And so that's all the cards that have been limited. There were no new bans, still just Moby and Kabaji. Now let's talk about how this impacts the game. This was only implemented in the U.S., and then Japan made the comment that it doesn't impact their game. It also lists it here. This sets us up for a Yu-Gi-Oh-like structure, and for those unfamiliar, Yu-Gi-Oh! In Asia and Yu-Gi-Oh! In the U.S. and outside of Asia have completely different ban lists. So they each list their own cards and do their own thing. They do state that they may be lifted upon OP04 release, but I don't know if I see that happening. It feels like this list was made by someone who just lost to Whitebeard, and I may be partial because I play Ace, but I don't love it. I know on Twitter everybody's been talking about it. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, you can at Vampyr Gaming. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this list. Was there something else you think that should have been hit? Because this also creates a nice opportunity for people to pick up arts for their now one-ofs. Talking about meta changes, Katakuri is a top deck for sure. And Zoro can now cut cards they played against Whitebeard and play back to OP02 Zoro with Attacker Marcos and Fire Fists, so they get to cut out the teaches. It also took away Lucci's best matchups, so I feel like Lucci drops even lower on the tiers. Film Kid is probably back. I feel like Film Kid, I know I was playing with Kek Filet, and I know he just got top 32 at the regionals, so Blue is definitely back on the menu. These changes, in my opinion, weren't great. They really just came at Whitebeard while honestly hurting Ace along the way and just empowering Zoro. They could have simply banned the leader. I think Whitebeard was a solid restriction. He's searchable, and honestly, everybody hates seeing 2 be dropped back to back. Marco, it was only OP02 Marco because the 1 anniversary thing, I swear. I don't really know their reasoning, but I do know, you could have left it. He does less than Zoro. After you hit the Whitebeard and the Radical Beam, they probably wouldn't even play this. I feel like the OP03 would have been a better hit, but of course they have to push product. So, and OP03 just came out, so fair enough. And then Radical Beam, I feel like Radical Beam was fine. You know, nobody really needs the 8 events, and there are even more coming out. You also have Red Hawk, so tons of opportunity there. But huge surprise, I woke up to this, and it's just been on my mind ever since. Did you guys like this list? Let me know in the comments below. I will also, of course, be adjusting Ace because we're not giving up that dream. And so be sure to subscribe if you found this content of any value, or if you're looking to play Ace and continue on into the ban list and you're not already subscribed, if you could just do me a favor. Over 90% of my viewers aren't subscribed, and we're going to top together. Thank you guys so much for watching.